Welcome to another garden benchtop tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at hydro clay pebbles, or otherwise known as LECA, and how to clean them straight out of the bag. Okay, so I'm really excited to be working with this medium here. This is the first time I'm going to be using it, and the reason why we're using hydro clay pebbles, or LECA, L-E-C-A, which stands for Lightweight Expanded Clay Aggregate pebbles, is because we're going to be using these in our air garden or aeroponic system to put and grow as a medium to hold and stabilize the plants in there. These little pebbles are made of clay that have been heated at a really high temperature. They're really good for retaining moisture and giving aeration to the roots of the plants. A lot of people use them for a growing medium to absorb water for their indoor plants. But like I said, we're going to be using it in our air garden, so let's get started. Okay, so when you first take these out of the packaging, you're going to notice a lot of grit and small particles and a bit of powder. And that's because all the pebbles knock up against each other and it breaks apart. Because it's clay, it's quite an abrasive medium and therefore creates all this dust that we need to get rid of before we use it. So when you're taking these out of the bag, just be careful. The less knocking the better. It means the less particles you're going to have to clean. Okay, let's grab some of this out so you can see it. Here is the LECA. They are also known as hydroton balls or clay pebbles. You can see they're quite almost like marbles, but more lightweight. And what we're going to do is these guys need a good clean and soak before they're usable. So carefully, the first step is to carefully take them out and put them into a container that's heat proof, because we're going to be putting boiling water into here. You can see there was a bit of dust that came out, and you can see the dust in there as well. So we need to get all this dust out of these pebbles before we use it on our system. Okay, so after you've placed the LECA balls carefully into your container, what we're going to do is pour boiling water over it to submerge the LECA balls and allow these to soak and the particles to settle at the bottom. And you can see the air bubbles coming out of the LECA, and it's starting to expand. Quite amazing, isn't it? It's almost doubled in size. So we want to submerge this, so I'm going to get a bit more hot water. We want to make sure all the balls are submerged, so keep on topping up the water with boiling water. And they're starting to float. Now the reason why we are using boiling water to soak our LECA balls is because it'll sterilize the balls and kill any bacteria or fungus or any unwanted pests that may be hitchhiking along for the ride, and ensuring that this is a sterilized neutral medium that we can use to grow our seed. Now we'll be leaving this for about an hour to let it soak and absorb the water, and then we'll be back to give it a rinse and see if we need to rinse it off one more time and soak it. Okay, so while we're waiting for our balls to soak all the water and become sterilized, let's talk about why these LECA balls are so great. LECA balls are these little balls of lightweight clay that are heated at such a high temperature that when it expands, little air pockets begin to form inside. You can kind of see the little air pockets on the edges here. And what that does is it gives these little LECA balls two distinct properties that we love about them. The air pockets give these balls aeration properties, which means it can deliver oxygen to the roots of the plant. As a clay, it's also a very porous material. And so that means it allows water to run through it and absorb water. And what that does is it retains the water. As you can see, it's all starting to expand. It retains water and it feeds the plant roots and keeps them moist. Not only that, LECA is also a very stable material. When it's in a pot, the plant roots can grow and grip onto it for stability. Okay, so these balls have been sitting here for about an hour to soak. And what we're going to do is we're going to transfer them to another bucket so that we can clean them up and get rid of all that residue. So let's grab our trusty blue bucket, and what you want to do is start carefully transferring them over to the new bucket. As you can see, they're all soaked, expanded and full of water at the moment. And as you can see, you can begin to see how murky the water is and see all the residue that was in the packaging with the hydroton balls or LECA balls. So you can simply just drain this by pouring all the water out and giving it a rinse, but what I want to do is just show you how much residue is actually in the bucket. So I have to carefully remove these and capture all the LECA balls. There you go. Can you see all the dust and all the hydrogen dust? So what we want to do is get rid of this, and we're going to clean the balls one more time. Okay, we've got our clean bucket again. We're going to pour our hydrogen balls back into the container and fill it up with water. Okay, for this round, you don't need to use boiling water. We already used it once and that was enough to sterilize the LECA balls. So this time we're going to be just using regular tap water to re-soak and rinse the hydrogen balls. You can see the hydrogen balls are full of water now. There's no more air coming out of them. And because this isn't hot water, you can now give them a good mix around, just to make sure you can get all the particles out. Keep in mind, just to mix them around gently, because you don't want to be making them hit against each other and creating more particles. And we're going to leave this for another 30 minutes. Just to really get in there, get them fully saturated, ready for use. The LECA balls are now fully saturated, have absorbed all the water, and let's see if we can see if there's any more residue that's come off. You can see a little bit left there, but the LECA balls are pretty clean now, and I'm happy to use them in my air garden system. So what we're going to do is use these balls straight away. You don't need to let them dry out. But if you're going to be using them with indoor plants, or you're not going to be using them straight away, we recommend drying them out for a 24-hour period, and then they'll be fresh and ready to use. But for our purposes, we're going to transfer them into the bucket, our trusty blue bucket again, and then fill up our baskets ready to put the seedlings in. So here are the baskets that we're going to be using with our air garden or aeroponic system. Basically, you place your seedlings in here with the LECA balls. The LECA balls hold the seedling up and stabilize it. And as the roots grow, they'll reach down through all these gaps in the basket, grow into the system, and receive all the mist that has all the nutrients and water that it needs to grow. This is how it's going to look if you can imagine a seedling. So as you can see, the LECA balls actually go quite a long way with these tiny baskets. So I'm really looking forward to using this and seeing how it grows our seedlings and produce in our aeroponic system. I'll be doing another video on how I'm going to be setting up the seedlings, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you can be notified when that is available. Thanks again for watching, and happy gardening!